Shweta Meti.
So good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So only 20 students, sir. So 23.
Yes, sir.
Shall I start the class?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But only 23 before for 10 to 11, 33 were there in the class, sir. Hmm? Okay, now 25 joined the class, sir. Okay, shall I? Okay, I'll start the class. Right. We'll first revise the previous concepts which I discussed in last class. What is local scope?
It is created by whenever the function is called.
And when the function terminates.
And it ends when the function terminates. Okay, correct. What is global scope?
Starts when the program begins and ends when the program terminates.
Okay, it starts when the program begins and ends when the program terminates. Okay,
Terminate.
right, right. That's correct. So, what are keyword arguments? What are keyword arguments?
They are used to define the optional
Used for
parameters.
optional parameters.
Okay, they are used to define the optional parameters. Can you
Parameters.
can you name the keyword arguments which are used with the print function?
And
Separate.
separate.
Okay, END and SCP. Okay.
SCP.
What is the purpose of end keyword? End keyword.
It doesn't get new line, sir.
Writing code in one line, sir.
Sorry. Jackie, the answer you told us, it doesn't get new line. No, it's not like that. So what character you want to display at the end of output? So that you can decide with the end keyword. By default, new line is the character. Okay, by default, new line is the character which is used at the end of output. But when you use the end keyword, then you can specify whichever you wish. Okay, whichever the character you wish. It may be a comma, it may be a colon, or it may be a space, or it may be something else, right? So that character, whichever the character you want to use at the end of output, that you can specify with the end keyword. Did you get this one now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
what is SCP? What is SCP?
It separates the character.
Separation, sir.
Should be printed.
Okay. See, when you have multiple data to be displayed by the print function, then by default it will use the space. It uses space for the separation, right? But if you want to change that space to, for example, comma, or for example, like a colon or semicolon or hyphen or front slash, any character that you wish, then you can use the SCP. So whatever the data you specify in the print function, that those data will be separated with the given character. That is SCP. So both the end and SCP both are same. So but end usually replaces the new line character, and the space SCP will replace the space. Okay, because default character for the end is new line and default character for separation is space. So those two can be replaced with the end and SCP keyword arguments. So like that you can use even with the user defined functions. Okay, so that's fine now. So then what about parameters? The parameters of function are local variables or global variables?
Local, sir. Local, sir.
Local.
Also.
Okay. Then, so if a variable is declared or if a variable is used outside any function, then is it a local variable or it's a global variable?
Global, sir.
Global, sir.
Local.
Global variable, sir.
If a variable is used outside any function or exists outside any function, then is a global variable or local variable?
Global, sir.
Global variable, it's correct. If a variable that exists outside of any function, then it is always called as a global variable. But if a variable exists within the function, then it's
Local variable.
Local variable.
Parameters
Local variables.
of the function are called as local variables.
Sir, not audible, sir.
Yaradu who is Purvi. So when yes, now am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Right, all right, okay, right. Now we'll continue with the so some rules. Rules I told about the scopes. Okay, so can we use one variables of one local scope in other local scope?
No, sir.
Can we use variables of one local scope in another local scope?
No, sir.
Not
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
not allowed, right? That's correct. So variables of local scope, okay, variables of local scope will exist only in that scope, so they cannot be accessed in other scopes. Okay, they cannot be accessed in another scope, right? But what about global scope variables? Can we access global scope variables in the local scope?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can we modify? Can we
Yes,
modify
sir.
global variables in local scope?
Yes,
By
sir.
using global keyword.
By using
Global keyword.
by using global statement. Okay, by using global statement you can make global variables to modify in the local scope, correct? So global variables can be can be accessed to read the data, in the local scope. But if you want to modify, if you ever want to modify, then you must use the global statement in the local scope. Get that? Then what about other one? Like if a local variable is there in the function, can we access that local variable in the global scope?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Can we access a local variable in the global scope?
No, sir.
No, not allowed. Right? So local scope, because once the local scope terminates, mean the function terminates, then all the variables of that function, all the parameters of that function will be destroyed. So once the function terminates, all the local variables will be destroyed. That's why we cannot access those local variables in the global scope. Did you get all these points now yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now we'll move
Yes,
on to the next concept. We'll move on to the next concept, that is exception handling. Exception handling. What is
So you-
exception?
Third,
Sorry?
you left third point, sir.
Which
Code in function local
Same
scope
name,
cannot use
same name.
variable.
Same name, huh? What is that? Yes, Sana?
That third point, sir, code in functions local scope cannot use variables in another local
That I
scope.
told, no?
You
That I
didn't take-
told, no? Variables of one scope cannot be used in another scope. That point I took. Only fourth point that I didn't take. That fourth point is variables of different scope can have the same name. Variables of different scope. For example, in global scope, I have one variable like XYZ. In one function, function 1, you assume that function 1 is there. There again, I can have a variable with the name XYZ. That's a local variable of the function 1. Again, if I have another function 2, okay, in the function 2, I can again have another variable called as XYZ. So 3 variables are there, one in global scope, another in function 1, and the third one in function 2. All are having the same name. That's allowed. So based on their scope, the current value of the variable will be retrieved. Okay. So variables in the different scope can have the same name. There won't be any conflict with that, but it is just a confusion. Sometimes it may be a confusion to the user, okay, who is reading the program may not able to understand with the same name. So you may get confusion with whether variable is from global scope or from the local scope until he understands local scope and global scope, right? So only 4 points. One is local variables can't be accessed in global scope. First point. Second point is a global scope variable can be read in local scope, and global scope variable can be modified in local scope with the help of global statement. That's the second point, right? And the third point is a local variable of one scope cannot be accessed in another scope. That's the third point. And the fourth point is variables of different scope can have the same name. So that's the fourth point. Did you get these 4 points, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So yesterday I already shared all the programs, okay, sample programs which I have considered for these scopes. Okay, you go through the programs and try to write your own programs and do, okay, practice, so that so your errors can be reduced, right? And then next one, come to the next point, that is exception. What is exception? What is exception? I think you already gone through this exception in Java, right? What is exception basically? Yes, any answer? Exception. What is exception? Boys?
Excluded.
Sorry? Exception?
A runtime
Runtime
error.
error. Okay, it may not be error always. Okay, but okay, answer is correct, right? It's not always an error. Okay, I will tell you, right? Exception. Yes, boys. Vishal, Jackie, Sudhakar, Rohan.
Sir, it's an event, sir. It's an
Yes,
event. Event occurs during executions.
Okay, from where you get this answer? You gone through my PPT?
Google,
Huh? Okay, fine.
Google, sir, Google.
Exception is basically an event. It's an event. So, for example, you take an example so suppose if you are sending a command, you are sending a command to the printer. So, device, output device. You are sending a command to the printer to print. So, now here you are initiating a event called as print event. You are initiating an event called as print event. So, with that command, it is going to start the printer and will get the print. So that's an event, right? That's an event. Likewise, so you may have some file in the hard disk, and you are issuing some command to open the file, or you are issuing some command to read the content of the file. So these are the kinds of events we do with the file. So like file input output operations, or device input output operations, right? So these are all called as events, right? And another example I can take you, so we already said about importing modules in the Python. Importing modules mean there are third-party packages, or there are third-party modules, so which we can import in our program, and then we can use the functions of that module in our program. So importing a module is called as an event, because it makes us available that module. It makes us that module available to us, so that we can access the functions of that module in our program, right? So that's called as an event. So usually what happens when we are doing these kind of events, they may generate errors. That's why the exception is not basically an error. It is basically an event. That event may fail because of something. Because I'll take an example and I'll tell you afterwards. That exception, that event may fail and may result into an error. So in that case, we call it as an exception, right? An event that is executed during the execution of the program, that occurs during the execution of the program, is called as an exception. And usually when you are doing these kind of events, I said they may occur error. For example, you take a file. Okay, I'm trying to open a file, but that file does not exist in the system. Then what happens? If the file does not exist in the system, then what will happen? I'm trying to access a file which is not in existence, right? Then what will happen? Yes, guys?
File not found.
Yes, others? Rajia?
Yes, sir.
What was my question? What was my question? Am I audible to you, Rajia? Are you there in the class?
Yes, sir. Sir, your slow network is there.
That's not the answer to be given, right? You have to tell the answer, okay? Because the only thing you'll say is answer, right? Okay. Yes. See, when you try to open a file which is not in existence, then the system will fail. Okay, mean the command will fail. So then error will occur. Okay. So if that's the case, then what happens usually sometimes the entire program will crash. Because of that error, the entire program will crash. That means further part of the program also will not be continued. So because of such kind of errors. So even if we take like importing module, if I specify simply import XYZ is not a correct name of the module. Is the correct name of the module. But if I give that command import XYZ, then what happens? That XYZ not in existence, so it will throw error message. Okay, it will generate an error message for that. In that case, again, what will happen? So an error will be generated, right? So what you need to do for these kind of errors, you need to write handler. You need to write the handler. So the handlers are called as exception handling. That handling an error is called as exception handling, right? So we'll share the screen and we'll explain with the part of that. So is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So basically, exception handling is an event handling an error that occurs while handling some events in the
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Can't hear you, sir.
Your voice is breaking,
because
sir.
of your data problem, not because of me, because now this time my internet connection and data pack is proper, right? So but because of your data and your network, so maybe with the break in the voice, right? So but afterwards I'll upload the video, so you can refer that video also. Okay, right? So now, so what do you need to do here? How to handle the errors? How to do the exception handling? Because while performing some events, while generating some events, so they may occur errors. So how to handle those errors? See, one of the simplest example, that is division operation. While doing division operation, we may face the error called as division by zero. Because in mathematics, what we do when we divide something by zero, we usually represent it with a infinity. But in programming language, what happens, any programming language it may be, so usually in programming language, what happens, if you perform division by zero, then the entire program will be crashed. Okay, so whole program will stop the execution now. Okay, that's why we just look into this example here, right? Start the idle. Start a new file, paste this. So now I have taken here some function call as a division, and which is I'm passing only denominator. So I'm taking numerator as a 42 here, it's a constant value, and I'm dividing that 42 by the given denominator, right? So this function is going to return the resultant value of 42 divided by the given denominator, right? So here I'm having four function calls: division by 2, division by 12, and division by 0, and division by 1, right? So first two will not have any error because 42 divided by 2 will result a proper value, so it will print the value of that. 42 divided by 12 again is a valid operation, it will print the result of it. But when we go to the third function call, that is division by 0, then 42 divided by 0 will crash the entire program, and further part of the program will not be continued. So try to understand that with the execution here. Okay, so I'll take a division, right, by 0. Division by 0. Now look into this one. 42 divided by 2, right? It has done this operation. Then 42 divided by 12, it has given this result. But when it tries to execute this third function call, it has resulted into an error. So that error it is showing here. So 0 division error. This is the name of the event. It's the name of the event. 0 division error. So that's why it is showing here the error message as division by 0. Now, if this case, I mean, when you are performing division, because when you are asking the user to give the input, so user may give any data. So it is the responsibility of the programmer or the developer to handle such errors in the program, right? So that we call as handling the errors, we call as exception handling, right? So then how to do this, how to overcome from this error message, right? So for that we can do here try and except clause. You can use the try and except keywords. Look into this one now, right? So here just I'll take this part of the code, other part is similar, right? So instead of writing only this much, what I'll do here, I'll write the try and except clause. So I wrote the statement, the division statement in the try function. I mean, try to execute this statement is something similar like this. So try to execute this statement if any error occurs in this statement. Are you getting my point what I'm explaining?
Yes, sir.
So here I'm trying to execute this statement, mean I'm instructing the interpreter that with this try clause, I'm instructing the interpreter that try to execute this statement. If any error occurs in this statement, then jump to this except clause. Are you getting my point? So what I'm instructing to the interpreter, try to execute this statement. If any error occurs in this one, if any error occurs like something 0 division error, then jump to this except clause. Okay, and the argument here, argument is, so this argument, this is called as an argument to the except clause. So mean which error it has to handle. So this argument indicates which error it has to handle. Not only zero division error, like it may be a file IO error, it may be import error. So all those kind of errors you can handle through this argument. Okay, except followed by the name of the error to be handled. So here I written the error to be handled is zero division error. If this operation, if this 42 divided by denominator results to zero division by error, then it jumps to this except clause and prints the statement called as invalid argument. Invalid argument. And then whether after handling this error, whether the further part of the program will be continued or will be stopped. Yes.
Continued.
Yes.
Continued.
Will be continued.
Continued, sir.
Here in third statement, an error will occur. So for that error, it will print the error message called as error invalid argument, and then next division operation will be called. Okay. So that is, if you run this code, look at here now. So 21.0, 3.5 from the first two division operations, and the next third one, look at here, error invalid argument, and then the result of that operation. Yes, the result of that operation, since this operation is in error, this operation is in error for the third function call, so that is going to return the none. So yesterday only I discussed none. So when there is no value from the return statement, when there is no value from the return statement, it is going to return the value called as none, empty. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's why see here, after displaying the error message, we got the return value from the third function call as none. Third function call as none. Then again fourth function call, that is division by 1. So 42 is the answer. So that's how the error can be handled in the Python. Did you get this one? Exception handling.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So we'll take another example. So importing. See, importing, for example, importing random, import random. So this is not an error, right? So I can write randint of 1,20, for example, right? So this is valid, right? So just I'll write importing. Okay, right. Now if I run this one, right? Okay, print of this cell, right? So the random number I'm going to print, right? So now it's displaying some number in between 1 and 20, right? But if I try to write, so if I try to write import xyz, so then what will happen, you see here. Okay, now what it is showing here? So what it is showing here, the error message called as module not found error. Are you getting my point? No module name xyz. There is no name with the module with the name xyz. There is no module with the name xyz, right? So that's why we got the error message called as module not found error. So then how to handle this kind of error? How to handle this kind of error? So for this, what you can do, you can write here import xyz except then module not found error. So this you can copy here and then you can put here module not found error. So then print, you can write invalid module name. So if it is available, then it will import the module. If it is not available, then it will throw the error message called as in module name, and the further part of the program will be continued. Look into here now. So we got here for xyz, we got the invalid module name, then the output from the random module. Did you get this one now? How to handle the errors?
Yes, sir.
Yes, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Now the first module has completed. So 3 chapters were there. That is with the first one basics, then second one with the operators and flow control, and the third one is functions chapter. So all the 3 function chapters of the module completed, right? So now assignment. Do this program now. Do write this program now. By using all the concepts what I discussed, right? You write a program for this one now. You write a program for this one. Yeah. First, I'll explain this program. See, look at here. What I'm doing in the first line, what I'm showing you, I'm thinking of a number. It is something like, say you might have played a game with your kids. Guess the number. Adiri the ಆಟನ?
Yes.
ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಾಗ
Yes,
ಒಂದು
sir.
ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ನೋಡ.
Yes, sir.
ಸಣ್ಣ ಹುಡುಗರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಆಟ ಆಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ಅವ್ರೆ. ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಾಗ ಒಂದು ನಂಬರ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆ ನಂಬರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಕೇಳಿರಿ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
Right.
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Exactly, we are doing the same. Exactly, we are doing the same. So now system is one player, and we are another player. I mean, we as a user, another player. So system has guessed some number between 1 and 20. System has guessed some number between 1 and 20. So it is having some number with it. Okay. Now what we need to do, as a user, we have to guess some number. We have to some guess number. If that number matches with the system guess number, if that number matches with the system guess number, then we have to say, yes, good job, you have guessed my number. And in how many guesses you have guessed that number, that we have to print. You may take 1 guess, you may take 2 guess, you may take 3 guess. Depending on the number of guesses, you may get the result, right? So you need to print if a match occurs with the system guess number, then you have to print good job, you guessed my number in so and so number of guesses, right? So that's what. So here I'm thinking a number, then I'm permitting user to guess a number. Take a guess. See here what I'm displaying, 10. If the guess number is lesser than the number guessed by the system, then I'm printing your guess is too low. Then second guess, I'm permitting the user for the second guess. Now he has guessed 15. He has guessed 15. So I'm saying again, your guess is too low. That means still the guess number is lesser than the number guessed by the system. Then again, third guess is guessing 617. Then it is saying your guess is too high. So 15, for 10 and 15, it was saying it is too low. For 17, it is saying that it is too high. That means the number is lesser than 17. So that next fourth guess, in the fourth guess, I'm guessing 16. So now it is saying it is a good job. You guessed my number in 4 guesses. So now you need to write a program for this one. You can use loop, you can use if else statement, you can use function, and you can write the program for this one. Will you write? Can you write the program for this one?